In this video, we will start the development of the agenda section of the HD Street Band website. So currently we have one page here, which is the agenda.html. And of course, the first thing that I will do is right-click that page to rename it and change the extension to CFM. So I make this a ColdFusion file. There it is. So I open the page and I run it in the browser. So here is how the page looks like right now. It contains a table of all the upcoming events sorted by their event date. In the sidebar, I have the very next event, which is here, and it is, by the way, the very same as the first row here of the table. So let's return to ColdFusion Builder to remove the static version of that table. So I will select here between those two comments. And I will delete that HTML code. So if I run the page now, there is no more table to display. You see the page is empty. And I will replace that table with a CF query that I will write just below the calendar content div tag. So here, CF query. I open and close that tag. I will query the HD Street data source and I will give it a name. I will name it RS current events. Now what do I need to select? I need to select data in the events table, and here I will double click on the fields that I need. So I need the event ID, comma, I also need the event name, comma, I need the date time of the event, comma, the location, comma, and the venue. There we go. And I need that pieces of information from the events table. And I want to order those events by their date in ascending order. Now let's test the query with a CF dump. And the variable that I will dump in this case is of course the RS current events record set, the query that I do in the database. So here is the query, here is the data that I retrieve from the database. You see it's a list of all the events sorted by their date time. So here it's March 2016 and here is the last event in December 2016. So it works, but it's not exactly what I want. I don't want all the events of the database. I want all the upcoming events of the database. So the events whose date time is bigger than today. So let's return to ColdFusion Builder and let's return to my SQL statement here, and I will add in that SQL statement a where clause. Now be careful, in SQL the where clause comes after the from clause but before the order by. So let's change here with a where, and I want only those events whose event date time is greater than or equal to today. So there is a ColdFusion function whose name is now, and the now function will return today's date and today's time. So this is very powerful. What you just did here is turning your query into a dynamic query. This is the ability to add ColdFusion code inside of the SQL statement. This now function is a function of ColdFusion. So you already know that ColdFusion is able to generate HTML and to send that HTML to the client browser. Well, in this situation, ColdFusion generates an SQL code and sends it to the database. If you think about it, each time the query will run, it will be different because the now function of ColdFusion will each time return a different value. Now let's test it out. So save the page and I will run the page here. And here you see the SQL statement that has been sent to the database. And you see the result here of the now function. The now function creates a timestamp. So today we are the 2nd of February 2016 and it is currently 3:33 p.m. and it's raining outside. Okay, so each time you will run that query, each time that timestamp will be different, and each time you might have a different result set, because if you follow this course in 2016 like me, you might have the same result set, but if you follow this course early 2017, the last event of the database here is on December 2016, so you will not have any result to display, because hopefully, thanks to that now function, any outdated event will be automatically removed from the query and therefore from the table. So before outputting the table, you might want to check if you have any data to display after all. So to do that, let's return to the browser and let's turn our attention to those pieces of information that we have at the bottom below the query. So I will here click on Result Set to hide it and see only that extra data. Those are extra data generated by ColdFusion. It's data about the query. Now to see that data in another way, I will add one more attribute of the CF query tag, and that is the result attribute. And by adding this attribute, I will ask the CF query tag, I will ask ColdFusion to generate one more variable that I will name current events results, for example. I can choose, of course, the name of that variable. And let's dump that variable. You will see what that variable contains. So it contains all the extra data generated by ColdFusion about the query. And one of the data is the record count, which is 7 in this case. This is the number of records returned by the query. So in my case, this query returns 7 events. Now, if you have no events to display, record count will be at 0. So now we have a piece of information that we can rely on to verify if we have data to display in the table or not. So let's return to ColdFusion Builder. And here I will remove that dump. I will also remove that result here. And here, just after the title agenda, I will use a very popular tag of ColdFusion that you don't know about, but it is a very helpful tag. It's the CFIF tag that I open and close. Now CFIF will be able to check if a condition is met, and in this case I want to check if the record count of the query is equal to 0. It means I don't have any data to output. I don't have any current events. If I don't have any current events, I have to execute a block of code. And if there are some events, if record count is not at 0, then I need to do something else. And this is where the CF else tag comes into play. So here, before the CF else tag, I will write a little paragraph of text that says, sorry, there are no events to display at this time. But if there are events to display, then I go below the CF else and I will start writing a table. So I will start with the table tag of HTML, of course, and inside of the table I will use the CF output tag of ColdFusion. I will ask this tag to loop around the current events query, and of course inside of the loop I will create rows for that table with the tr tag, and inside of the table I need 3 cells. One that I will generate with the th tag of HTML, which is table header, and the last 2 that I will generate with the td tag of HTML, like that. Now in the first cell of each row I need to output here the date time of the event, and I want to format that, so I'll use the date format function again. So remember, the first argument of the date format function is the date that we need to format, and the mask here will be month, day, year. Now here in the second cell of the table I want to have the event name, then I want to have a space, a dash and a space, followed by the event location, followed by the event venue between parentheses. So let's copy paste here the event venue. There we go. And as the last cell of the table, I need a link, so an HTML tag that goes to agenda.cfm, and I want to write here read more. So let's take a look at that table now. There we go. So we have the table of all the upcoming events. Now remember that this table may hold less event for you. It depends when you follow the course. And if you follow the course after December 18th, 2016, you will have a message that says, sorry, there is no events to display at this time.